Greetings. This is the one you've known as Jesus the Christ. This is part 2 of chapter 8 of my book Awakening Love. As a man thinketh, so is he, doesn't mean that you're bad if you have bad thoughts. Everyone has bad thoughts. What this means is that the thoughts that you believe and act on determine how you see yourself, how others see you, and what you draw to you in life, through karma and otherwise. As a man thinketh determines a person's sense of self and what results from that sense of self. But this sense of self has nothing to do with who you really are. Your divine self is never harmed or changed by anything you think or even do. Your thinking determines the false self's experience of life, not your true self's. When you're lost in a negative sense of self and behaving badly, it's like the divine self is temporarily lost in a bad dream. Just as you, the dreamer, is untouched by what happens in your dreams, the divine self is untouched by the experience the illusory false self is having and allows that experience to play itself out. The divine self allows the false self to have whatever experience it's creating, knowing that valuable learning will be gained from that, at least eventually. God allows all manner of experiences created by the ego and by negative entities who are lost to love, because God is willing to have such experiences. As a means of exploration, God created a realm such as yours, in which good and the appearance of evil exist. I say the appearance of evil because there is no such thing as evil. Only love exists. Evil is what results from the absence of love, from someone being divorced from love. That God would allow evil and even choose to experience it as a human being is very difficult for most to understand and accept. Nevertheless, this interplay of dark and light is just the way it is on earth and must be accepted. The best explanation for this is that compassion and deep devotion to love are developed by experiencing the opposite of these. The value of love is realized by experiencing its opposite. You're fortunate to be encountering this teaching now, because once you see the truth about love and its importance, you no longer have to be at the effect of negativity. If you don't believe the voice in your head's thoughts, you can't be affected by those thoughts. To the extent that you've seen the truth about negativity, you've transcended duality, the perception of good and evil. Here's the truth about negativity. The negativity in your egoic mind is never true. The negative pole is a mirage. All there is love, positivity. The negative pole is simply the absence or near absence of love, just as darkness is the absence of light. The negative pole is created by the egoic programming and reinforced by negative non-physical entities who don't believe in love. They are lost to love only because they believed others who told them that love doesn't exist. They've been told that if they go toward the light, where they'll experience love, they'll perish. They believe that love is deadly. Negative non-physical entities believe the opposite of the truth, so that becomes their reality. The same is true for you. If you believe the opposite of the truth, then that becomes your reality. As a man thinketh, so is he. Reality conspires to prove to you what you believe to be true. To negative entities, it really seems like love doesn't exist, and that what is termed love is dangerous, because they're associating only with those who believe this, and who consequently behave horrifically toward each other. These negative entities are living in a hell realm of their own creation because of what they believe. This happens to human beings as well. Fortunately, once negativity is no longer believed, it stops existing as part of your reality because it's been seen for what it is, a deep misunderstanding. Once a lie is seen as a lie, it can't be believed anymore, and then it stops being a force in your life. What remains in your mind when negativity has departed or is no longer given any weight is truth, love. The truth is positive. Life is essentially and inherently good, benevolent, and of love. This is wonderful news. How many are not aware of this? How many are living in the ego's illusory world and perceiving life through their ego's eyes? Unfortunately, most people. But that is not your fate, and it isn't anyone's ultimate fate, for everyone will see the truth about life at some point. Now that you've seen the truth, what will you do about it? Unfortunately, you won't be released from negativity the instant you see the truth about it. Becoming free of the ego is a process. You have to see through the negative thoughts one by one as they arise. This means you have to become aware of what you're thinking moment to moment. You have to be very committed to seeing this, or your negative thoughts can still trip you up. But as you see these thoughts for what they are, useless lies, they'll weaken and show up in your mind less frequently. Eventually, many of them will drop away forever. Your mind will become more spacious, quiet, and more positive. This is the process. The first step is to learn to become aware of your thoughts. This awareness is what's developed in meditation. The second step is to question your thoughts, especially your I thoughts, and any that are negative or limiting. Ask yourself, is that true? The answer is always no, but can you see this clearly? The reason these thoughts aren't true is that they don't contain the whole truth. They leave out so much, and they aren't always true. Something that is true is the whole truth and always true. An example of a true statement is, "Love is behind life." This statement is always true, but not something the voice in your head would tell you. You might tell it to yourself to quiet the voice in your head, but the voice in your head won't be what comes up with such a truth. If you apply this standard to your thoughts, that to be true they must be true always, throughout time, it will become obvious that nearly all your thoughts are not true. Most are neither universal truths nor facts, but assumptions, beliefs, fantasies, desires, faulty memories, fears about an unknown future, stories that tell only part of the story, incomplete characterizations of yourself, and out-and-out fabrications. The voice in your head is the spinner of the illusion that is the cause of all suffering, what Hindus and Buddhists call Maya. The illusion it is spinning is the negative pole. The negative pole is created by the voice in your head. Without the voice in your head, all that remains is truth, with a capital T, and facts. Facts are neutral and can't cause suffering unless you spin a story about them that makes you suffer. And truth is always positive. Life is good. Love is behind life. Suffering is a great teacher. There is a way out of suffering. You are eternal. Life is a school. Everyone is always learning and evolving. People are essentially good and loving. You have all the inner resources you need to be happy. Happiness is here right now. I could go on. These are immutable truths. Look at the thoughts in your egoic mind and you won't find these kinds of thoughts. What you will find is thoughts that cause suffering, thoughts that don't serve you, thoughts that are, in fact, not true. The truth will set you free, while what is false will imprison you, and that is exactly what happens. The lies and half-truths your egoic mind tells you imprison you and keep you in a state of suffering, confusion, and discontentment. But there is something outside those prison walls, and that's good news. There is truth, there is love, there is freedom from suffering. I'm so happy you're discovering this, and it brings me joy to support you in seeing the truth. Welcome to my world, where there is only love. Once you've seen that a thought isn't true, it will stop being of interest to you. Like a magic trick that you've seen through, those thoughts will no longer captivate, frighten, or motivate you. Then it will be easy to give your attention to something that is true, real life. Once you really see that your mind has nothing to offer you, no good advice, wisdom, guidance, insights, or even entertainment, you'll be more willing to turn to the present moment for satisfaction, and you'll find it there. The more satisfaction you find in the present moment, the more you'll choose to stay there, and the more you stay there, the more that becomes your established way of being. As a man thinketh, so is he, is not only a basic truth, but also a formula for speeding up the process of freeing yourself from the voice in your head. Since what you think affects how you feel and what you experience and become, you can choose to think thoughts that will help you become who you're meant to be, your divine self. You are meant to be an expression of goodness, of God in the world. What is it that can choose to turn away from a thought or think a thought? That is your divine self, your true self. While you don't choose the thoughts that appear in your mind as the voice in your head, you can choose to not believe those thoughts, and you can choose to think thoughts that are true instead. When the divine self is awake enough within you, it begins to counteract the egoic programming and other false conditioning with the truth. The truth is received by you intuitively, and then you, as your divine self, choose to affirm it and focus on it mentally or repeat it out loud to yourself. This is how the unconscious mind is reprogrammed and the voice in your head quieted. Before one awakens, some reprogramming of this nature is often necessary. By replacing negative thoughts from the unconscious mind with true statements, the negative thoughts are healed or uprooted. Some will never resurface again, while others will be so weak when they do surface that they can easily be ignored. This is essentially what happens when people awaken. They realize the truth about life on a deep level, and this wipes out many of their mistaken beliefs. Over time, the rest fall away one by one. The truth becomes so apparent that they can no longer be fooled by the voice in their head, at least not for long. The result is that this voice falls into the background and is easily ignored. What they're left with is the present moment's love, peace, wisdom, and delight. People who've had lengthy and deep experiences of the present moment don't want to return to the suffering of their old way of being, and they can't. Once you've seen through all the magic tricks, you stop going to the magic show for entertainment. You've discovered a whole new way of being that's made the old way obsolete. This new way of being feels magical, delightful, vibrant, alive, beautiful, wondrous, sparkly. All these words are attempts to describe the state of presence, the domain of your divine self, the kingdom of heaven, when it's being experienced deeply. This is the state young children experience when they're lost in play, Walt Disney, in much of his animation, captured the beauty, vibrancy, goodness, love of life, gratitude, and joy of this state, which is why his creations are so beloved. This beauty and goodness is what people want and what they know to be true on a deep level. When you've fallen deeply enough into reality, you see that the beauty and goodness of the world depicted in Disney's animation is not a fantasy. Thank you for being here. I am with you always.